We wanted to take a look at the impact of industrial pollution on children. They're far more susceptible to toxic chemicals than adults are. And so one of the things we wanted to look at was what's the air like outside the places they're required to go, their schools. So we took a look at all the schools in the country, about 128,000 of them, and overlaid their locations on a EPA data set that takes a look at the path of industrial pollutants from smokestack to the ground.
I sort of came into it a little bit after the conception had happened, but the idea was that children are especially vulnerable to the effects of toxic chemicals, and children are really compelled to be at schools. And to the extent we were able to look at industry, it's because when large industrial facilities release toxic chemicals, those are the emissions that tend to be tracked most and studied most. So if those are posing a danger to children, that's the stuff that should be understood. That's the low-hanging fruit, and it makes you wonder what else might be out there.
One of the main challenges was just the array of data that we had to deal with. We had a lot of it, and we had a lot of technical questions about it. And so we teamed with researchers at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and then subsequently with researchers and scientists at Johns Hopkins University and the University of Maryland in College Park. And what we did is we took a look at data that the EPA kept, and then we went out and did our own monitoring. So that instead of just taking a look at what the government knew, we went out and found things on our own.
I learned the importance of being persistent and not taking the easy answer. There were a lot of times in this project where we could have said, okay, someone official says this isn't a problem, good enough, go away. But where we really excelled in this project was not taking no for an answer and going out and doing our own research and really pushing to understand what all this meant.
So as a result of our stories, the EPA launched a $2.25 million monitoring program, and for the first time they've sent out regulators to monitor the air outside schools around the country. And what they found just in some of the first batches are high levels of certain chemicals, including one called acrolein, which in higher forms used to be used as a chemical weapon in World War I. It was at levels so high outside some of these schools, they were 100 times higher than what the government considers safe for long-term exposure. Those are the kinds of things that make kids sick, the kinds of things that really increase the likelihood of kids with asthma getting sick very, very seriously. Look for opportunities to partner with people who know things that you don't. One of the things that we did was we looked outside our newsroom and we partnered with Johns Hopkins, for instance, to help us develop a protocol to go out and do monitoring ourselves. That enabled us to get the kind of evidence that the government wasn't getting, and in fact make a big difference because it showed the government if a newspaper can do this kind of thing, so should we.